The tranquil waters of Lake Umuzi set a calming scene, but belied the drama which would unfold in the coal fields of Mpumalanga during the 2017 Secunda Rally. There were thrills and spills aplenty as the rally lead changed hands 4 times on the final day, leading to a surprising and historic result. Heading into the third round of the National Rally Championships, Guy Botterill and Lee Rose led the R2 and Classics classes respectively, with perfect records from the opening 2 rounds. The roads for the Secunda Rally were painstakingly prepared weeks ahead of the rally, but then, with 10 days to go, the region experienced torrential and unseasonable rain. The tracks had to be re-prepared, leaving large banks of graded soil on the sides of the road, and muddy sections which were sure to dry into daunting ruts as the rally progressed. The conditions would prove to be highly challenging and tough on the cars. Chris Kutzer, meanwhile, would have the benefit of a brand new vehicle as he swapped his Toyota Etios for a Mazda 2. Rally fans gathered at Eastval Motors for the grand unveiling, along with Kutzer's fellow drivers, including Asia Potgieter.
Die kar voel goed, ek het eergister gaan toets, baie sterk, hy loop reg, ons het 'n bietjie hanteringsverstellings gedoen, so hy is reg vir die rally.
Tension mounted as the car lay hidden beneath a dark silk cloth. The Electro Thread and the JEN Sport crews had reportedly put in over 1,500 man-hours into building the car. When Chris Kutzer and Greg Godrich revealed the stunning Mazda 2 R2, it was clear that the time had been well spent.
No pressure on me. If I have the best car, then surely I must win the rally. But seriously, I'm not expecting any fireworks at this event. We expect there might be some weaknesses that we're not aware of yet. So we're going to keep a very realistic pace and just try and get it to the end. I think, all eyes are on us and certainly the brand and their expectations, and they really want to see us at the end, and I think that's what we're going to try and provide.
With the excitement of the new car launch completed, the attention turned to the serious business of scrutineering. C-Track used the time to install their tracking and safety systems into all the Secunda Rally cars. With the cars declared safe, the procession moved to Trisec Auto House in Trichard for the ceremonial start. George Smallberger will be sweeping the roads on day 1. Alongside Smallberger in the Shield Car Care Volkswagen Polo R2 was Chris Brand. As the first car on the road, the pair would not have to deal with any ruts created by other cars, but they would also not have any lines to follow. Second on the road on the opening day was the Toyota Gazoo Racing Etios R2 of Guy Botterill and Simon Vassilail. The duo had won both the previous rallies in Scottsboro and Sabi. Next on the road was Asia Potgieter and Nico Swartz in the Lake Umuzi Volkswagen Polo R2. Following the locals were Richard Leek and Henry Kona in the ATS Ford Fiesta R2.
Stage 1 we struggled a bit. We're having big problems with the car. We're not too sure exactly what's wrong. We're not sure if it's the throttle or the fuel pump, so we struggled from the word go today.
A car which was not experiencing issues was the SE Toyota Etios R2 of Chart Conradi and Carolyn Swan. Despite being self-sponsored, Jono van Wyk and Scott Howden were second in the championship coming into the Secunda Rally. The final R2 car on the road was the Electro Thread Mazda 2 of Chris Kutzer and Greg Godrich.
Stage 1 was okay. It's always nerve-wracking doing the first stage, but we kept it on the road. Car felt pretty good, and now we're in the service. AC's times and mine are pretty close, so I'm glad AC is going. It's about time he got up there. But being his hometown, I'm sure he's pushing really hard. But the main race starts tomorrow, so we'll see, and we'll just see how AC goes.
Next on the road were the classic cars, a new addition to the South African National Rally Championship roster. Leading out the classics was the Ford Escort RS of Lee Rose and Elvien Coetzee. The pair were leading the Classic Championship race heading into the Secunda Rally. Also in the category were Nico Nienaber in a Toyota Corolla, Etienne Malherbe in a Datsun Triple S, and Nati Boyson in another Ford Escort. The classic Escorts and Datsuns are firm fan favourites. On stage 2, Jono van Wyk was the Secunda Rally's first casualty. He broke a side shaft, and though he completed the stage, he would only be able to rejoin the rally on day 2. For the other participants on the rally, stage 2 offered a chance to find a rhythm on the smoothest roads of the event. The stage took place on the banks of Lake Umuzi. With the route snaking around the green belt just outside Secunda itself, it made for an easy access stage. This drew in large numbers of rally fans, despite it taking place during office hours on Friday afternoon. One man who had definitely found his rhythm was local hero Asia Porchita.
Stage 2 was a little bit quicker, it was more open, longer straights, but still the surface was somewhat wet and some dry, so the surface is very, very tricky to ride on.
It's super. We've only done 2 stages. Felt quite bumpy in the recce, but once you're in the rally car, it feels much better. It'll be interesting tomorrow morning with a lot of dew on that wet grass. There'll be almost no traction coming into the faster corners, so we'll have to be very careful.
While the spectre of increasingly tricky conditions loomed for day 2, stage 3 still provided fast times. Asia Porchita topped the timesheets for the second stage running. Guy Botterill, in the unusual position of not leading, was second fastest and trailed by 3.4 seconds after 3 stages. Jard Conradi was the third quickest on the stage and overall. Lee Rose and Elvian Kutsia continued to make hay in the classic class, posting faster times than a number of the R2 cars. After 3 stages, Asia Porchita led his home rally over championship leader Guy Botterill, with Conradi in 3rd and the struggling Leek in 4th. In his brand new Mazda 2, Chris Kurta was clearly taking it relatively easy, running in 5th overall, feeling out the handling of the new car, and wary of putting a dent into it on the first outing.
It was fantastic. We're taking it easy. We know the handling is not what it's supposed to be, and we're driving very much within ourselves, and surprisingly we're not very far behind the other guys, so we're really happy with our current situation. This car is very solid. It feels like a real proper rally car. It feels almost like a S2000 car. Everything works the way it's supposed to, and it's just great. I've got a second wind here. I mean, I feel rejuvenated. I thought I had fun, but now I'm having even more fun.
With the sun dipping behind the western horizon, the crews were hard at work preparing the cars for the 2 night stages around the Graceland Casino.
We just put some scrub tyres on. We keep our good tyres for tomorrow. We've got a limited allocation, and we fit the spotlights, which is always a pleasure because it looks so good with it.
This came about just from the simple pursuit of speed, and you know, that's something that's been in me from a kid, and nothing's changed since then. It's such a high being able to use and enjoy that thing that you've built that I sort of find myself chasing that all the time. I'm a little bit nervous to see how it goes, but I believe that what I'm going to create will serve the purpose that we're heading off to do. If all my calculations and everything that I've sort of worked out in my head turn out, then it's going to be a pretty wild ride, and I'm looking forward to it.
As the darkness set in and the temperatures plummeted, the rally action hotted up at the Graceland Casino. Stages 4 and 5 were held in the casino parking area, where a 1,050-meter long course was marked out on the gravel-topped tarmac. The route was effectively a double loop on an hourglass shape, which required the navigators to be at the top of their games.
You go for the second line down here. You go up. Go 9. Go down. You go in,
In the R2 category, Richard Leek pulled a faulty wire off his engine and posted the fastest time on both stages 4 and 5. Lee Rose, meanwhile, continued his classics category dominance. After 5 stages of the Secunda Rally, Asia Potgieter led by 2.9 seconds over Guy Botterill, with Richard Leek moving up into third. One of the National Rally Championship's stars for the future is Lune Snyman. While there are other female co-drivers, she is currently the only woman behind the wheel, a fact she hopes to help change.
My name is Lune Snyman, and this is my car Bullet. It's a Toyota Taz 1600 tuning valve, and my father is my navigator. He's Edward Strader. There's really no exception between a woman and a man rallying a car, so I would love to build on other women's dreams. There should be more women drivers in rally.
At the Secunda Rally, Snyman was joined by Natasha Fourie and co-driver Caro Storm on the start grid, though only Snyman completed both days, as Fourie and Storm raced in the regional rally category. Day 2 of the rally kicked off with a super special stage on stage 6. The super special stages are great fan and driver favourites, as the drivers race it out in a head-to-head battle for stage honours. Drawn in batches of 2 and starting alongside each other, the 3-kilometre-long route crosses over halfway through the stage, allowing the cars to veer away at the end of the start-finish straight, only to return to side-by-side racing for the dash to the finish line. Taking the stage honours by 2 seconds was Guy Botterill, as he cut Asia Potgieter's rally lead to just 0.9 of a second. In third on the stage, having returned to racing under the Super Rally rules, was Jono van Wyk. On stage 7, it was clear there had been drama when Guy Botterill reached the water splash ahead of Asia Potgieter. Potgieter had overshot a corner, cracked his windscreen on a fence and broke his wipers. Exiting the water, he did not see the next corner. The rally leader tried in vain to extract his Volkswagen Polo from the freshly quarried hole he had driven into, while Guy Botterill drove to stage victory and into the rally lead. But his efforts proved in vain. Even with the fans' help, the Secunda residents could not get his car back onto the road.
My car got out, guy went past me. And I was behind him in the water splash, just behind me in the window. I couldn't see it was cracked. So and then I went into the water.
And now problems?
Yeah, we now try to get water out of the engine, see if we can start it so we can go on.
Though he eventually got his car out, the damage was too extensive for Potgieter to continue. Potgieter's misfortune was Botterill's gain, and he started stage 8 with a comfortable 45-second lead in the overall standings. The Toyota Gazoo racing team's consistency is usually such that a lead of that nature would see Botterill claim a comfortable victory at the end of the rally. But Richard Leek had other ideas. He was still looking to exert pressure on the new rally leader with a strong drive on stage 8. Jono van Wyk, meanwhile, was out of the running for overall victory, but he was setting fast stage times.
Well, we started the rally with some bad luck, so we've been playing catch up all day, and we haven't been pushing too hard because we couldn't gain too much. So our goal was just to finish and conservatively get there.
The ever-consistent Lee Rose was also running well in his Ford Escort RS, clocking another time faster than half the R2 competitors. Behind Rose, the minor classics podium places were more tightly contested between Nati Boysen in his Ford Escort, bearing the Digimag branding, and the fantastically restored Datsun SS of Etienne Malherbe. After a lull in drama on stage 8, there was another change of lead on stage 9 as Guy Botterell's Toyota Etios experienced starter motor failure, and this put Richard Leek into the lead.
We couldn't find the problem, so we tried to push start it, but we were on a very steep hill. So we had to push it up the hill, and we lost a hell of a lot of time. And while we were doing that, Richard overtook us, and then eventually we got the car started, and then followed Richard all the way to the end of the stage. But the car's fine now. It was just a wire that got damaged, I think, through the water splashes. So we're good to go again.
Richard Leek's stage was not without incidents either once he had passed Botterill just after the start line. Midway through the stage, he and co-driver Henry Kohner had to slow down to avoid a herd of donkeys which had wandered into the road. After 9 stages, Richard Leek held a lead of a minute on Chart Conradi, with Guy Botterill 1 minute and 20 seconds back.
This is Ingenuity. In this episode, Formula E ready for a new season, another great European road trip, and pro golfer Martin Kamer takes to the track. This is Ingenuity.
On stage 10, Botterill was pushing on again, unsure if he could make up the time, but not willing to give up hope. Leek, meanwhile, could afford to ease off the pace a little, which helped as his car was still not running totally smoothly. Botterill's pace was putting pressure on Chart Conradi. His second place was at risk as the gap to Botterill decreased to just 12 seconds, with 3 stages remaining. Lee Rose's fast but consistent approach was ensuring that his Ford Escort RS was holding up well, leading the classics. But with so many cars experiencing issues, Etienne Malherbe in the Datsun SS still had lots to race for. On stage 11 there was more drama for Guy Botterill as his Etios became stuck in first gear just 6 kilometers into the 27 kilometer long stage. As a result, he lost 10 minutes on stage winner Jono van Beek.
I think we were about 7 or 8 Ks in and the gear linkage broke in first gear. So we drove 20 odd Ks in first gear. So 20 Ks in first is a very long time. So it's quite frustrating. We tried to stop and try to change gears by hand, but we couldn't do it. So we just carried on driving, and we finally got the car to the service park. It's an easy fix. It's just a gear linkage that's broken. So just fixed, and off we go again. So with the next couple of stages, hopefully we can just keep it tidy and get the car to the end.
Richard Leek also lost time as the alternator on his Ford Fiesta R2 started to play up. Chart Conradi meanwhile was forced to withdraw entirely mid-stage. While others stumbled, Chris Kurtz's consistency was paying off as he moved up to 2nd overall in the R2 category standings. Setting the fastest stage time amidst this was Jono van Beek. Lee Rose's consistency throughout the first 11 stages saw him move up to 2nd overall, 58 seconds behind Leek, who was stranded on the side of the road after stage 11.
It's been a good day, and I've driven well within my limits because it's very tricky out there with changing surfaces and changing traction levels. So the very difficult to determine the braking points and easy to overshoot the corners. So we've driven at about 70% all day. Watching the temperature too. Temperature's been getting hot because there's a lot of drag, a lot of loose clay soil. So I can't say I've driven at 100%, but I think it's paid off as well because we've run trouble-free.
After 11 stages, Richard Leek led the Secunda Rally, but it was unclear if he would be able to start stage 12.
We haven't had the best rally. We're struggling with quite a bit of power in the car. Our cam bolt is missing a tooth, so we're struggling a bit there, but otherwise not too bad.
Leek missed his allocated time slot for stage 12, which cost him a 1 minute 50 second time penalty. He remained in the rally, but was out of the lead. This meant that Lee Rose, competing in the classic category in his 30-year-old Escort, was now the outright rally leader. By stage 13, Guy Botterill was still experiencing gearbox issues, but he limped his car home for championship points, while Jono van Wyk stormed to a third successive stage victory. Like Rose, Chris Kurtzer was reaping the dividends of his issue-free rally, leading the R2 category. But the Secunda Rally's big winner looked to be Lee Rose in the Ford Escort RS. Nati Boyson's Escort was also proving tough enough to conquer the Secunda Rally, though 42 minutes slower than Rose's. Splitting the Escorts in the classic category was Etienne Malherbe in his Datsun SSS. Rose's consistency saw him and co-driver LVM Kutsia win not only their own class, but also take the overall victory at the Secunda Rally. Their win was celebrated by their fellow classic car podium finishers Etienne Malherbe and Matt Kohler, and Nati Boyson and Rudolf Pretorius. The R2 category victory was sealed by an elated Chris Kurtzer. The Mazda driver could hardly believe he had secured his first ever rally win.
I can't describe it, it's fantastic. I've been a rally fanatic since a young age. I was a service crew boykie for some of the greats, Sarah van der Merwe, Serge Damso. To think that I'd ever stand, I can't believe it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, we just played consistency, and unfortunately other guys had bad luck. So we ended up picking up, I think, 4th position or so in our class. So yeah, some good championship points for the end of the year.
Following the Secunda Rally, a select group of rally fans who had won a spin in a rally car thanks to Secunda Bulletin newspaper were treated to a quick blast around the Lake Umuzi stage.
Yeah, it was excellent. Once in a lifetime opportunity. I would prefer it for anyone, and I'm not afraid of speed, so, and he's a very good driver, I'll give it to him.
I come from a drifting background and I wanted to go with him with the rear wheel drive. Man, this is an adrenaline rush. Anybody who wants to do this, go for it. I just hope I could be able to build a car and compete competitively with him as well. But it's awesome, awesome, awesome. Anyone, go for it.
After 13 hard-fought stages, this is how the Secunda Rally's overall classification played out, with Lee Rose taking the outright victory. Rose was also victorious in his own category, of course, taking the win over Etienne Malherbe and Matt Kohler by 19 minutes.
We're quite glad that the rally's over and we made it to the end, but all credit must go to Chris Kurtzer and the Mazda and Gem Sport for building a fantastic car, and I think first time out I think they've won it, so it's really, really good, and it's good for the sport, and we're quite happy, and we we had a bad day and we finished third, so it's not so bad.
No, PE is always a good rally, nice flowing stages. There's quite a bit of work to do on the car when you sort out all the small little problems, but we'll be back there fighting hard.
The R2 category proved a war of attrition, from which Chris Kurtzer emerged victorious over Richard Leek and Guy Botterill, who both managed to limp their cars to the finish line. So, after 3 exciting rounds, so far we have Guy Botterill and Lee Rose still leading their classes. For Rose in the Classics, it's been 3 perfect races this season, and he seems to be on an unstoppable charge to championship victory. In the R2 class, Chris Kurtzer in his Mazda 2 finds himself tied for second with young Richard Leek. But with Jono van Wyk only 4 points down in third, everything is still to play for in the coming rounds of the South African National Championship. The South African National Rally Championship pauses after the Secunda Rally for a brief winter hiatus, before returning on the 21st and 22nd of July for the Algoa Rally. Held largely in the pine plantations around Port Elizabeth, the Algoa Rally is one of the longest and toughest rallies on the calendar. It could prove pivotal as Guy Botterill will surely look to get back to winning ways. But Richard Leek, Jorrit van Wyk, Asia Potgieter and now Chris Kutzer will all be out to stop the reigning champion from repeating his 2016 victory. Between then and now, be sure to follow SA Rallying on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram to get your regular local rallying fix. And visit sarallying.co.za for more information. This has been the Secunda Rally. Thanks for watching.